Best of r/confessions episode 7. Subscribe for Reddit videos daily. Everything feels extremely pointless and I hate everything. IDKY I've been really angry lately and I feel really lame. I'm about to start living on my own and start with an adult life and all my friends seem really excited about it for me but I really don't care too much. I've been struggling to care about things in general. I am about to go to a fancy college for computer programming but I am not making any progress at home in studying for it. I am also just sleeping all day and barely even go outside or talk/play games with my friends. When I do go outside it's mostly to meet new people with my friends since to them I seem lonely or very isolated, but I end up disliking almost all the people I meet cause they generally seem like a bunch of assholes tbh, and yeah, maybe I am lazy and don't help people sometimes or ghost them cause I just feel like doing nothing, but I don't go out of my way to be a bitch to others. I've been feeling really exhausted as well. I feel like doing anything is pointless at this point. One of my best friends who's a few years older than me keeps talking about how I need something to strive for, like making stuff, a career, family, or trying to make the world slightly better place. He wants to be a politician or some shit. He's always kind of been like that, but I really don't feel like there's any point to any of that. Like maybe I am just extremely edgy and childish, but I feel like at this point it doesn't fucking matter. World's always gonna be horrible. Like even someone who would spend thousands of dollars on donating to charity or changing a lot of aspects in society will only make it better for a while. It's always gonna go back or there will always be new issues. Good acts will just be overpowered by bad acts cause literally everyone is extremely selfish and a lot of people are just sick, although that doesn't mean I think I should contribute to it being awful, but rather I just wanna live my life and be nice and not try and be some big shot good person. The only thing I can see myself doing is making entertainment for people. I've always been interested in art and games, so that's probably what I'll do while I drink myself to death. I feel like this pessimism and lack of doing stuff makes me incredibly boring, so I try and be funny and stuff, but I can feel my friends wanting to abandon me, and honestly they should cause I am just a boring loser anyways who will never amount to anything they expect and wait for me to do. Also been feeling really annoyed by friends who keep asking me if there's anyone I like and would date. Like bro, I am just chillin', I don't want to date anyone, I can't even love myself, and it'd be like the most boring and useless couch potato of a partner. God have mercy on anyone who loves me. IDK what the hell this post is, I just wanted to get all this shit out of my brain. Thank you. Next. I got my whole class in trouble because of a penis. So in primary school, my class used to bully me because my parents were divorced. One day I had enough and came up with a scheme. Every week we'd have grammar and punctuation day where we'd go into groups and read to each other a text the teacher gave us. After 20 minutes, we'd hand the texts around until we got a new one. On the last rotation, my group got a text on the silverback gorilla. On my sheet of paper, I drew a small penis in blue ink and went to the teacher about it. The teacher then got everyone except me out of the class and discussed with them on graffiti and vandalizing, and if no one came forward on who drew the dick, they'd all have to pick up rubbish at lunchtime. No one came forward and everyone except me picked up rubbish that day. Then a week later we had a company give a talk to the whole year group on why you shouldn't vandalize and etc. I was very proud of myself. Thank you. Next. My mom unintentionally donated my cum socks to the Salvation Army. Flashback to 12-year-old me. There was a spare room in my house that held some of my belongings, namely an old dresser filled with childhood clothes and a desktop computer. I'm sure you can begin to imagine how these two items come together. Well, this old dresser was stocked with old socks. Too stocked. And I suppose I never thought of bringing tissues up to the room. With free use of the computer and an entire dresser full of unused socks to spare, I had time and resources. Too much time. Too many resources. Flash forward a couple years, and I had just about exhausted my cum rag supplies. There wasn't a single sock left that hadn't been graced with spilt seed. You could rebuild society with the sheer quantity of biological fluid that was embedded in the fabric. I knew that this process couldn't continue forever, but I hadn't thought through my endgame yet at that point. Well, there wouldn't be a need to. I came home one day from school to find 2 heaping trash bags filled with the cum socks. My mom was on the way to the Salvation Army with them, off to be donated. Mom, did you wash those? No honey, I'm sure they take care of that at the Salvation Army. Whoever had to lay hands on those glorious heaps of semen socks, my God have mercy on your soul. Thank you. Next. I lost interest in Pokemon Go a long time ago, but it's the thing that repaired my relationship with my dad, so I keep playing with him so we can stay close. He's obsessed with it still and I play and do events etc so we can fight less and not have the horrible relationship we had before. Thank you. Next. I think I'll have to do some kind of sex work to get through college. I, 17F, feel like I will have to do some kind of sex work to get through college. I've been told many times the major I've chosen is the most difficult and I want to still pursue it, but I've also considered moving out of my parents' home around this time next year with 2 roommates thankfully. I want to do it so bad and I'm working as much as I can while still juggling a virtual summer chemistry class. It sucks. Sex work is valid work, 100%, but I don't want to feel like I have to do some additional sex work to make extra money. I don't have time for another job and sex work doesn't make me uncomfortable. I'd consider camming and think I genuinely am going to sell feet pictures to make any sort of extra money for my savings. I would also consider stripping since my body is decent but my chest is small and not just oh I have C cups I have B cups small. No, there are cups. So because of this I don't think I would be able to be a stripper. Anyway, I feel like I got off track but I think I just mainly wanted to confess how I feel being a college student and having to consider even doing sex work just to make rent at the end of the month. Like I said, sex work is a valid form of work, but if I were to do sex work I'd want to choose it because it's fun and not feel like I have to choose between exposing myself and having rent money or staying in a socially accepted job that doesn't pay me enough and not having any savings for my future. Thank you. Next. My sister just gave birth to a baby with Downs. I really wish she hadn't. Her son is such a perfect little child. Sweetest little boy you'd ever meet. Now they have a little girl, and I'm scared for her and her husband and also my mom. Anxiety runs in my family. They seem to have it the worst. Her and her husband are lucky enough to have the money and time to take care of this baby and her needs, but they don't have the patience. None of us do. Her husband is a good dad. He really is, but they work in a system where she's the main one that takes care of their son. I know she won't be able to take care of this baby on her own. My sister is the type to panic if something goes wrong, and by panic I mean panic attacks. My mom and brother-in-law are both the type to get mad and lash out, vocally, when they're frustrated. This just sucks. I wish their daughter had been born without Downs. I'm afraid this is gonna cause a lot of fights in their house, and a lot of problems with their son growing up. I might just be afraid because I've never had anybody in my family with Downs before, but I'm just hoping it's not severe. I'm hoping I can get past this fear and love my niece like any other child, and I'm sure I will, but that doesn't change my disappointment right now. Edit. I didn't wanna make an edit. I wanted to leave this post as it was but I felt it was necessary. Thank you so much for everybody who commented. I read them all and will continue to do so. I made this post almost immediately after getting the news, so these were all emotions and fears and I appreciate those who have been kind. I'm trying my best to use all the information and support to learn and relay it to my sister. My family doesn't have any experience with Down syndrome, so I think we were all trying to prepare ourselves for the most severe outcome, which so far doesn't seem to be the case. We are all coming back from the initial shock and getting our excitement back currently. My sister and brother-in-law are struggling still, mainly because it affects their lives much more than the rest of my family, but they love their new daughter very much and things are looking up. My confession still stands though. I still wish my niece didn't have Down syndrome for the sake of her parents and for the sake of her life quality, not because me or anybody else believes she's any less of a human being for having it. Thank you. Next. I have literal daddy issues. I'm a 20-year male and I can't stand my dad. I've not liked him since I can remember. When I was much younger he would always work, was always busy and was always flying out of the country for meetings and stuff. Growing up he never taught me anything about being a man, about shaving, or cars/sports, those boyish things that you see other dads doing with their sons. Never talked about girls, or even talked on a basic human level. To this day, we never talk. He is a depressed empty shell of a pathetic man and has been for years. However, his wife, My mother is a strong woman and has stuck with him. He has a well-paying job and no other problems, yet remained depressed. He is so negative. I have in the past tried to talk about things like COVID or world events and he will always tell me I'm wrong or give hollow answers that don't allow the conversation to go any further. He has scoffed and expressed his lack of interest in my hobbies, tattoos, ideas. I hate him so much for all of this. Over the last few years I've noticed myself becoming a bit bisexual. I don't know if this has anything to do with my atrocious relationship with my dad. Anyway, if anyone has any advice or can relate, it would be much appreciated.